So now you have a 3D printer. You've got a model off Thingiverse or some other site that you want to print. But what's the next step? Well, today join me as I take you through how to slice that model to get it ready for your printer. See you inside. Hello and welcome to today's video. As just quick recap, so you've got your printer, you've got the model that you want to print. What's the next step? What do we do next? Well, next we're going to take it through a slicer. So what is a slicer? So a slicer is a program on your computer that takes a 3D model and then renders it into printing instructions. So one of the more common programs that I use is Cura. There are multiple different slicers. If you bought your printer, it came with a slicer normally. Especially if it's a Creality, they send out the Creality Slicer with it on the SD card that you can install and use. I'm going to be doing the demonstration in Cura. I like Cura. It's free software. It works really well. There are other softwares like Simplify 3D that are pay-for software that have a lot more tools and features. But right now, for all we need to get started, Cura is an awesome tool. So let's get over to the computer and let's get started working with Cura. Okay, so we're at the computer. This is where all the fun begins. We know the model we want, but we need the slicer. So I prefer Ultimaker Cura. It works really well. It's a nice software. And like I said, it's free. So they have 4.7 out and available right now. We're going to download that one and we're going to install it. Now, I'm using 4.6.2 as my main software. I had some problems with 4.17 or 4.7, but it's probably been fixed by now. I just never went back. And you know, there's different things you can do with Ultimaker. Just fine. We're not doing that today. So we're going to install this. I don't want to uninstall, so I'm going to say no. That way I have both versions. And we're just going to go click through and install Ultimaker Cura. That's fine. And I want to, that all looks good. So we're getting this installed. This is the program we need to make our model work. Now, what I'm going to show you in this video is some tweaks and different things that you can do to make this software more your own and make it more usable. The base software is great, but there's also the Cura Marketplace that you can go get plugins and add-ons, which can help out really help you get through your settings and make this program really easy to use as we go through each of the installation files. Once it's installed, we'll be right back. All right, so the installation completed and we're loading up the software. So here it comes, 4.7.0. Now, I've been working with Cura since it was on 3.8. It's a really nice software. It works really well. And I don't have a lot of problems with it. But like I said, the marketplace gives you a lot of options to tweak your software too, which is really good as we wait for this. Now, when this comes up, I usually just allow access. Doesn't matter. So we're going to get this program up on the screen here and we'll talk some more about it. And we'll go through getting your printer profile in there and getting some stuff configured so that you can start working with it really well. And here it is, usual method. So it's picked up some of the stuff from my settings, which is fine. But you can see it doesn't look really all that well to work with. This has picked up my current profiles. I'm going to switch over to the Ender 3. Actually, we're going to create a whole new profile. So we're going to go to, when you first load the software, you won't have to do this. It's actually going to ask you to do this, but we're going to add a printer. So you'll get this screen when you first go through the windows. I'm adding a non-network printer because my printers are not connected to the network this way. So, and we have a Creality printer. So we're going to go to Creality 3D and we're going to choose the Ender 3 or choose the appropriate printer that you have. They have built-in default profiles for a lot of the Creality printers. I'm just choosing the Ender 3 because that's pretty much one of the main commons. And you add the printer. You can go through, adjust your settings. A lot of this stuff's fine. If you have G code that you need to adjust, you add those adjustments right here to the beginning and end code. You can adjust your axes and you can make adjustments on the extruder information. So defaults are usually fine. So this is Ender 3 number 2. Pretty awesome. So I already downloaded a file. We're going to hop over to my downloads and we're going to extract said file. And we're going to open it up. So now it's been extracted. Yeah, I'm a big Star Trek nerd. You guys, if you watch the channel, you know that one. So we're going to go over here and we're going to go to downloads. We're going to go there and we're going to go files. We're going to open that file and it's going to open up that model for us. So this is a different version of the Ambassador class that you may have seen on the channel before. Yeah, model has errors. That's nice. A lot of models do. It's just the name of the game. So pretty neat. Would you want to print it this way? Nah. So what you do is you select your model. And for me, I want to rotate it. So I go to rotation and I'll actually stand this up right like that. And then I'll go here and make sure my Z-axis is 0 to get it all on the table. Just like that. Now, this is really kind of clunky to work with. There's no real, your settings are all kind of hidden away and stuff like that. So, like I said, the marketplace is an awesome thing. We'll wait for it to load here for a minute. So here are the 3 plugins that I use: custom supports, auto orientation, and sidebar GUI. So this one normally would be here. It needs an update to be compatible. So I'll go ahead and update it. But you can go into plugins. There's all kinds of them here that you can get. Title bars or the thingy browser built in. Startup Optimizer, the sidebar GUI is one that I'm using. You can see that it's checked. Depending on the software that your major model in, or where you found it, or your printer, there are specific softwares for like the Dyna printers or the Dremels. They have software and plugins in here, or your materials. So if you're using Inland PLA or any of these PLA makers, these are profiles made by the maker that works well for Cura, that you can add in and have better settings than generic. So we're going to sidebar that. So now we've got our printer. Now we can start going through our layer height. We can choose our quality. If we want standard quality, we want it to be low or really fine quality. We have those options. We're using a 0.4 millimeter nozzle on this printer, which is normal. And then you can go through here like Inland PLA. You got to be at least 215. Right now, with it being summer, I have my build plate temperature lower. It just allows for better adhesion, and I don't have the warping and peeling away from the plate being too hot on the PLA. So that's why I have mine set at 50. So I'm happy with 50. But one question I also had was supports. So right here in Cura, there's a generate support. If you checkmark that, it's going to open up a whole bunch of options. And right here, you'll see there's support placement. You can choose between only where the supports are going to touch the build plate or everywhere. I usually do everywhere. The lower the percentage, the more support. The higher the percentage, the less support. So right now, it's at 45%. There's going to be a pretty good amount of support on here. So I'm going to up that to 50. Then I'm actually going to slice the model. So what this should do, should get the model ready. I don't know why that's stuck on the screen, but there we go. It's going to get the model ready to print, and you can hop over to preview, and it's going to process all the layers, and you can see the support that it added to help support the model to get it printed. Now, to me, that's not enough support. And you can take this bar and break it down of how your printer is going to print this model. Now, right here, that support up the back line is a little troubling to me, but you've got to just kind of work this. You don't want too much support, so that if you're trying to take the support off, you snap the model in half. Believe me, I've done it. It's no fun, but it happens, and with what we're doing here. You also have to go through and check your infill percentage. You don't need to make these things 100% infill. The infill, it makes it heavier, it does make it stronger, but it also uses PLA. You've got to make sure that you're not killing too much PLA as you do this. So 20% is a pretty good one. I've done models all the way down to 5%, just to get the model to form. If it's not going to be something that's doing a job like an ornament or something like that, you don't need to fill this. Or if you don't want any infill at all, do 0. Say you're doing a Christmas ornament globe and you want no infill in it. You want it to be just the walls. Now, if you do this, I do suggest upping your wall thickness, and line width, your wall thickness, just to make So that strength is in the walls, not the infill. There's also experimental, and there's more support stuff down in here as well. Build plate adhesion right now is trying to use a skirt. For something like this, I would actually switch to a raft. If you make a change, you got to reslice it. We're just in preview. The raft won't show in prepare, so you got to hop over to preview to take a look at it. So here it comes, it's processing. Now you see it made a raft. This is going to give it more balance plate and more grip on the build plate, which is what you want. You want that grip and that to be on the build plate. So once you go through and you kind of have these settings, you're going to have to play with these settings. Every printer is different. No Ender 3 is the same. Every machine has its quirk. So you got to find the settings that are right for you. So what might be right for me may not work for you. It's all tweaking and playing with the game. But as you can see, that model looks pretty good. I would probably try to print this, to be honest. It's got a pretty good support in the backbone, but it's going to have marks where this connected. So instead of printing this flat, there would be a ton of support marks. And as you guys saw, let me minimize this. It's only going to cost me 68 cents and 34 grams to print this model. Now, if I change the orientation and lay it back flat like that, let's see how the numbers change. I'll get that back down to 0 and get it on the plate. Now we're going to leave everything alone and we're going to slice this, but I want to show you the numbers. You got to figure out it's twice as much to print it flat like this. And if I go to prepare, there's support all over the place. Look at that. That's not what we want. So you got to think about how you're placing the model on the table to make sure you're getting it the way that you want. Now there's snap scaling, so you can scale it. There's also lay flat, reset, or set face to align to the build plate. So there are some snap orientations that are automatic. You can choose mesh typing, you can do all kinds of stuff. If you don't think something's getting enough support, you can come here and add in additional supports into the model. But printing like this, bad idea. It's going to just be a bad day. So that's kind of just a quick walkthrough into Cura, getting your file sliced. Now what you do is you'll either save this to your SD card, and then you'll take it over to the printer and you'll print it, and you're ready to go. You're ready to start trying your sequences. Now what I would try is an XYZ calibration cube or a bed leveling test, since this is probably going to be one of your first prints, to make sure your printer is ready to go and get your settings tweaked in. That way you're in good shape. But like I said, there's a lot of stuff that you can do here. And going into the marketplace, make Cura your own. That is something you can easily do and make better. So with that sidebar GUI, that gives you all this information in one place. You can, if you have multiple printers, you can choose your printers between the CR10. Like I have multiple CR10s and Ender 3s, but I have dummy print profiles on here too. So, and my CR10s, they're both different. So they have different settings that what works for either one. One of my CR10 strings a lot, but my CR10 2, the settings are different, and I don't get a lot of stringing on that model. It's just the difference in the settings. I've got to go back through and work on it. Now, another thing I'm going to talk about is Meshmixer. So sometimes you'll get a model that is just a pain in the butt. And I'm going to just kind of hint on Meshmixer right now. But I'm going to show you one thing that I've learned with Meshmixer that can really kind of help out. So I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to go to Open, and I'm going to go to my downloads. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go Files, and there's not one I can open. So actually, I got to import it. That's why. So we're going to import the file. So we're going to import that into here. And one quick tool that I've learned is if you've got a model just not printing out right, being problematic, like this guy, you know, it's an awesome looking model. I'm actually really kind of curious to print it because all of this right here is different compared to the original concept. But you can, and the warp nacelles have some differences. Like right here, see this? That looks very odd. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Analysis, and I'm going to go to Inspector. And all those pink spots, are errors. And the red are errors or problems in the model. It's not connected right or something's wrong. Now what's cool here is you can just do auto repair all. 43 errors were found in this one item. So it's trying to fix them, recalculate them, and get them ready here to go. So it's fixing the defects to hopefully make the print better for us. That's one little hint that this thing can do. Once you have that done, you can see there was some it couldn't. Oh my. Well, this might not have been a good one to show you. So it found, after it tried to repair it, it found 19 more. So this model's got some problems. And it's making it worse. So what you can also do is undo and put it back. And get your model back in one piece. But that inspector and fixing problems, a lot of times I've found it very useful. It wasn't very useful on this model. Once you're done repairing it, you can go to export or export it back into an STL and go into Cura and get it ready to go. And get it over to your computer and get it ready, sliced and print. So like I said, all you gotta do once you have it, save the file, save it to your SD card, go plug that SD card in the printer and get to printing. But again, I would recommend sticking with a XY calibration cube or going with a bed leveling to print test as your first prints. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We will see you in the next video. Thanks.